Well, hello everyone and welcome once again to the Yorkshire Gamers Monthly Wargames update, and here we are in August 2023. Made some big purchases this month, one of which you might not realise you're looking at, but we'll go through that in a minute. Usual mix of things that I've painted, things that I'm working on, and another shed load of stuff that I've bought. So sit back, get yourself a cup of tea, 15 minutes, half an hour. Let's see what we've been doing at Yorkshire Gamer last month. So just a couple of units to look at this month. I've been plodding through and painting continuously now. The slump's gone, but I just don't seem to be getting through as much stuff as I would normally. But I have got lots of other stuff going on at work, etc. So not as fast as I was like, but we're getting through them. That's the main thing. So this is another unit of 28mm French infantry for the Battle of Mentana in 1867, using the Perry Miniatures French Franco-Prussian War plastic box set. And you saw a unit of these last month, the firing line that I did, and from 3 boxes I've managed to put 4 units together, and this is the second one of those, and this is a marching with the rear rank muskets over the rifles over the shoulders, and muskets going forward on the front rank. A little bit of a problem with this lad here is he's bent and broken a couple of times, just with the angle of it. First problem I've had with the plastic figure, to be fair. So bases, if you don't know already, are 60 by 60. And I'll just try and get that in focus for you. There we go, 60 by 60. 6 figures per base, and that slight stagger that I like in the ranks, just to make the units look a lot fuller, and also it means you can see the rear rank figures through the gaps in the front rank figures, and it makes it worth all the while painting them. So I'll zoom in and we'll have a look at a little bit of detail. Look at the the middle bases that I've got, and this is the one with the standard bearer, and the flag here is for the 59th Infantry, I think. Yes, it is. There we can see it. One of the units at Mentana, and that comes from Maverick Models. And then if we just focus in on the Fanion and the Eagle, that comes with the plastic set that Perry's produce, so you can build that from the box. You don't need to get anything extra from that. Lovely thing in this period, the French drummers are pretty basic. If you've done Napoleonic drummers with the green uniform, with the yellow and orange and white and all sorts of lace on the side of them, then you can crack on and get these done fairly quickly. Come up great as always, as they do with Perry's. Is just that bent musket on him. I'm going to get some super glue on that in a minute, and then have a look at the rear of the figures. I don't use a lot of washes in my painting style, but these material shaped or material coloured work really well. Anything brown works really well with washes. Just with those, I have seen them brown, I have seen them black, and I've gone for brown. So there we go. So that is our unit. I'll just bring the officer base up to have a quick look at as well. And there we go. Sort of a Gallic shrug from the chap holding the sword, and the chap with a red fanny in there, because this happens to be a 2nd battalion of this particular unit. 2 more of these to go. I've painted 2. I've got 2 more to go, and hopefully they will be done for next month's update. And some more French for you coming up very soon. The second unit I've done this month, and technically it's 2 units, but this is some skirmish-based French Franco-Prussians. From the 4 boxes I had, I was able to build up 4 units of 24 with enough left over for 24 in skirmish pose. And I've done a review on the boxes, so if you haven't seen that, pop back and look. But you do get a mix of the marching pose and the firing pose, and the ratio of those depends on which box that you buy. And I happen to use most of my firing stuff in the one firing line, and then the rest for these skirmishers. So these are based on 2 figures per base, but these are 60 by 30, so they're half the size of the main unit bases that we've looked at, the 60 by 60s, and these just have 2 figures on rather than would be 3 would be in a formed unit. And I'm doing these 6 per unit, but with no real definitive way to use them in rules, etc. I just want some skirmish stuff to use for buildings and stuff like that. So they will be extremely useful going forward. And if we zoom in, no surprises, the usual gorgeous perriness. And I've used, if you've got the box set, you'll be aware that there's a casualty figure in there. So I've been using these where I need extra numbers just to flesh out units, etc. And they do give it quite a nice sort of real life action look. I'm not one for splashing casualties with blood and stuff like that, but it does kind of remind us that this is warfare that we're dealing with. So there we go, that is this month's painted stuff. Let's have a look at Twerking Progress. Here is Twerking Progress, and it's absolutely no surprise whatsoever. It's on the same theme as what we've looked at already, and these are 28mm French Perry's Franco-Prussian War Infantry for the Battle of Mentana. And this is the next unit that I'm working on. I've got 2 more line infantry units to do, and as we can see already, let's try and get this one into focus with my strange camera. There we go. We've got a base of infantry done already. These are all in the marching pose, as you can see. Let's just spin those round and have a twirl, Anthea. And there we go, there's the back of them. And you can see they really are very, very shiny with the army painted dark, is it dark tone? Strong tone that I've used on them. And that all gets sort of dulled down with the varnish that I'm using. I picked up some AK Interactive matte varnish. I know a lot of people use Winsor & Newton Professional matte, and I've not really done a lot of spray varnishing over the years because a lot of people have problems with it misting. But I've got on really well with the AK Interactive stuff, and the stuff you've looked at before has had that matte varnish on. I bought it for the ships initially, but that really does dull down these really bright areas, like the knapsacks, haversacks over the top. Sorry, greatcoats over the top of the haversacks, and all the anything you do with strong tone or any other of the washes does tend to gloss up quite a lot. So when it gets a coat of the varnish, it makes a massive difference to it. And then, if you've not seen before, this is how I work with my figures. None of those fancy 20 quid or whatever they are figure holders from Games Workshop. This is a whiskey stone. I've still got no idea why people have whiskey stones. It just makes your whiskey taste of stone. I suppose it does what it says on the tin at the end of the day, but I just put a bit of white tack on there and then use that to paint them. And then the rest of them are on old Pepsi Max bottle tops. I've got some the rest of the figures in here ready to go. I tend to have a unit on the go at any one time and stick to that unit. I'm not a butterfly painter. I'll paint a unit and then move on to another unit rather than have bits and pieces going on elsewhere. And it's the drive to get that unit finished that keeps me going. So there we go. That's Twerking Progress. I hope to have all the French done for you for the September. Are we next? The September edition of this. So let's have a look what we've bought. How much? How much? A lot. Those of you eagle-eyed looking at the previous stuff might have noticed a change in the underlying stuff. And normally, apologies for shaky cam, but normally, if you look down there, I've used these green mats from Deep Cut Studios. Absolutely fantastic that they are. However, I came across these. A chap called Keith, Keith Massey's moved up from Manchester up to Scotland and downsized a bit, and he had these terrain tiles, and these are David Marshall TM terrain tiles that he could no longer fit in his new residence. So I said I'd take them off his hands for a reasonable price. We are both very happy with the price that we got, and they're going to get good love and attention here at Yorkshire Gamer. So I'm going to use shaky cam and apologise for this already. So if we go down and we have a look at them, they are quite deep, probably 2.5 inches deep, and on top of them they are flocked and have various kind of different, oh sorry about the changing colours there, various different techniques used on them, from flocking to dry brushing to all sorts of stuff. They're really, really nice. Got some kind of dark areas put in them for potentially for woods. Yes, that is the Prince Eugen, and no, it shouldn't be on the grass, but there we go. And then down the end there's the French army for Mentana. So I think these, and we'll swing back over this way, I think these are the absolute business. They really are good. And the reason I bought them is because they will be an ideal base for my Mentana game. It's going to save me an absolute shed load of work. I'm just going to have to build a few little bits of boards, etc., and fit them in around what I've got already. So on the table, these are 30 by 30, I think they are, and then there's some cut down ones at the end. We'll talk about those in a little bit more. There's some hills, there's some rough ground, etc., and then if we look down at the side of the table, there's some flat boards, and I think I've got a bit of broken ground there. So I'll just pop round to the other side of the table and just show you how they're constructed. So when Keith moved, he tried to kind of fit them onto his table and made some alterations and shaved some stuff off. And didn't quite work for him, but it's not a problem for me, because as you can see, this makes these little half boards make perfect fit on my Wargames table. But what it also does for me, it gives me an idea of how these have been made. And you can see they've got wooden supports at either end, and then a bit of 6mm MDF on the base, filled with high impact foam, and then a thin layer of modelling clay or modelling putty over which has been painted and then flocked and dry brushed, etc. So this tells me how I can make some additional boards of this, because I'm thinking we've got 3 boards by 2 there with these 3 extra long ones. Again, apologies for shaky cam here. Another 1.5 or 2 will reach that edge of the table, but I'm thinking another 2 for Mentana, which will just take it over 12 foot. But there we go. So that was my big purchase this month. Not going to tell you how much, but it was certainly what I was happy to pay for it, what Keith was happy to sell it for, and I had a lovely trip up to where he lives, stayed overnight in the area, and then picked them up on the morning. So thanks very much, Keith. These are going to get absolute love, and they will go around the shows as the Battle of Mentana very, very soon. And a little fun thing I forgot to mention is this. It was my 30th wedding anniversary, would you believe, on Monday. God bless you, Mrs. YG. You've put up with a lot over the years. And she bought me this, because she knows I love a good medal. And she bought me this, which is an absolutely fantastic. Let's see if we can get it into focus. It is a Pearl Wedding Anniversary medal. It doesn't look like a military medal, and on the back it says for distinguished service and bravery in the field. So God bless you, Mrs. YG. That was an absolutely superb present. Thank you very much for that. Also in new figure-wise, after that big kind of purchase, is I picked up some stuff from Early War Miniatures. If you haven't listened to it already, I did a podcast with the owner, Paul Thompson, and great lad. I loved his stuff for a long time. Been looking for an excuse to pick some of this stuff up. So I've purchased these with my doing Narvik on the Sea and enjoying O Group for the few games that I played recently. I'm going to do a little 20mm O Group for sort of Narvik. Lots of choice. We can do Norwegians. There was some Polish, French, British, German mountain troops, German parachute, Fallschirmjäger. So it's a nice little compact. I say that. You know how I always go with these sort of things. So I bought these and going to make my way through these slow and steady and build up some forces for that sort of a period. I've also picked up a Vickers Medium Mark III tank. They didn't have many of these, but this is going to be interesting. I'm going to paint that up and have a good look at how Supercast works and Paul's figures. I'll just open one of these up and we'll have a look at the figures themselves. Here's the contents of one of the bags. It's one of the squad bags, so we've got 10 figures in here. We've got the Norwegian LMG. I can't remember what it's called. It looks a lot like a Brent. It'll come to me, I'm sure, eventually. We've got an officer figure and a group of riflemen. And O Group's pretty agnostic when it comes to basing and stuff, but you want 3 companies and a HQ base. So I've bought 3 packs like this, some extra officers, and then a couple of support weapons for a company, and then I'll build that up to a battalion in slow time. So that's the. I bought some figures. I rarely buy figures at the moment. So there we go. 20mm 1940 Norwegians from Early War Miniatures. And there's been another big purchase as well, but this should be the last of the ships for a while because I've got everything I need now for Narvik and a decent sized convoy. So some Hotspur H-class destroyers, 2 there from IBG Models. Need 5 of those altogether, so that's all of those actually, because there's another one in the box there, slightly different look, but 3 of those. I've already got 2, 1 built, 1 in the bag. Then the convoy is getting bigger with these Liberty ships. Unfortunately, they only do 2, Jeremiah O'Brien and another one, which is this one, the John W. Brown Liberty ship. But I've picked up another one, another 2, another one. There you go. 6 Liberty ships. I'll take all my Liberty ships to 12, I think that is now, ready to go. Really need to get building with these, but Mentana has taken the majority of my time at the moment because I need to try and get that ready for the end of October, which is looking very tight. I bought this little harbour set here, which is going to help when I come to build Narvik for the Narvik game. And then finally I picked up this, which was second hand, and it's a round table class trawler by Atlantic Models. I'll probably do a proper review on this, but just open it up. It's a cast or resin cast model. I'm going to need to slice the hull off, and it's quite small. Obviously it's a trawler, but for convoy actions it's absolutely superb for doing anti-submarine warfare stuff. So I'm going to get it's got a sheet of photo etch and then a sheet of resin parts as well. Very basic to build. The hardest thing for that is going to be flattening that base off, and so that's something a little bit different this month. So that's everything that we spent our money on this month. Quite a lot as usual. I have got in place order for a lot of terrain for Mentana, so that should be coming through and be ready for you to see next month. So we gaming again has been sadly knocked on the head by work every single week. So it's time to have a look at the scores on the doors. So it's scores on the doors on my battered old board. I'm sure I could do this professionally, in inverted commas, with a computer thing, but I can't be bothered. So there we go. Just a bit of fun as usual. Facebook up 144, quite a big jump. I'm guessing most of that will be down to the World Cup of Wargames rules, which has proved very popular, and I'll talk about in a little moment or two. Twitter's up 12. It's not really changed for me, Twitter's. Not seen any problems with it at all. A lot more interaction on there, and numbers are still going up, even though some people are leaving. So I'm quite happy with it. Insta up 4, steady away. YouTube's up 40. I'm on 1996. 4 people, please just follow me to get me to 2,000. I've got OCD about round numbers. So get to 2,000, please, if you're watching this and you don't subscribe, please do so. Podcast is up 6, steady away, 310. Facebook group, again, big jump to 1633, guessing mostly down to the World Cup of Wargames rules. Podcast downloads, we had 4,728 this month, which is another 500 than the previous month, which is pretty remarkable. And we're closing in on the 100,000 download mark, which is, I think that's quite a big watermark, to be fair. And the way things are going, probably another 4 episodes maybe, and we'll reach it. And then finally, Threads, we're up 35. Not sure what's happening with Threads, how it's working. Seems to be a bit of a fallback for Twitter. Not as much engagement on there by a long way, and it just seems to do exactly the same as Twitter. And as I said before, Twitter's still working for me. So there we go. So we're on to our channel shout out and quick review of other things Yorkshire Gamer in the next section. Just got one podcast produced this month, and that was a Brews in the Vineyard special with Alex Sutherland from Storm of Steel and Sean Clark from God's Own Scale, and that's out both on Podbean and on YouTube by now. I have got another one in the bag, if you so to speak, a naval wargaming one with David Manley. I just haven't had a chance to get that edited together and get it out as yet, with a little bit of busy time at work. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, is this one, so you get your money's worth, which, to be fair, as you're paying now, is pretty good value. It's a great laugh. I love doing the shows with these two guys because we just say it how it is. And we managed to get the World Cup of Wargames rules draw done as well. And that's been the main thing that's been going on at Yorkshire Gamer during the course of the month. So we have had a preliminary round where 97 rules were nominated, of which the top 16 went through, and I showed them all last month. Above is the table, the ladder of how things are going so far, and we are currently in the quarter-final stage, and we have had just shy of 10,000 votes in total for all the rounds so far, which is pretty amazing and pretty large amount of votes, a lot more than I thought would get involved in this, and it's been a great laugh so far. Some people have completely misunderstood it and completely got the wrong end of the stick, and have told me that it's a bit silly. Well, if you think it's a bit silly, you're probably not used to watching Yorkshire Gamer stuff, so there we go. But everyone's enjoyed it, so do take part on the Facebook when you can. There we go, another month's done, another month to come. September, hopefully, as I said, should see the end of the French for Mentana. A couple of units of infantry, unit of cavalry, and a couple of command bases to do to finish that. Then I've got to crack on with the Garibaldi stuff, and as I said, the lot of terrain is hopefully coming in next month as well. It's going to be very tight, not sure if I'm going to make it or not, but it's worth the effort. Just on a sad note, I attended the funeral of a good gaming friend, a good friend, David Parrott, yesterday, who sadly passed away at the start of the month, and saw a few old friends there, and it's always really sad to say goodbye to someone who's been a good friend for many years, and I hope you rest in peace, Dave. I really do. You were such a cracking mate and such a great laugh, and sorry to see you go so early. On that note, until next month, I'll see thee.